It all started with a lie, well, a performance, technically. A fake boyfriend gig, nothing more. Just a week of pretending. But no one warned me what pretending could lead to. Noah was the kind of guy you didn't expect to say yes to something like this. Sharp jawline, pressed button-downs, and that constantly distant expression like his mind was always somewhere else. Probably with his long-distance boyfriend, Tyler. They'd been together for 2 years, most of it split between time zones and silence. Noah never talked about him much. Maybe that should have been the first red flag. I just need someone to play the part, Noah had said, standing stiffly in Zach's apartment, arms crossed. My family thinks Tyler's coming to the reunion. He's not. I don't want to explain. Zach, our mutual friend, grinned and shoved me forward like I was a prop. Liam's perfect. Charming, shameless, looks good in pictures. Noah gave me a skeptical once-over. And you're okay with lying to my family? I leaned against the doorframe, smirking. You want a performance, I'll give you Oscar-worthy. But don't fall in love, sweetheart. He rolled his eyes. Please. That was Monday. By Thursday, I was sitting in his car, suitcase in the back seat, on our way to his family's cabin 3 hours outside the city. My hand casually rested on the center console. He didn't flinch, but he didn't take it either. This means nothing, he muttered while merging onto the highway. I glanced at him sideways. Most relationships start that way. The cabin was beautiful, all dark wood and lakefront views. His mother greeted us with a tight hug and 1,000 questions. You must be Liam. We've heard so much about you. That was my cue. I smiled wide, pulled Noah close by the waist and said, Only the good stuff, I hope. Noah stiffened but smiled. A perfect mask. His family bought it. And just like that, the game began. Over the next few days, we hit every trope in the fake boyfriend playbook. Matching coffee mugs, whispered inside jokes, shared glances over dinner. And the bed. One bed. No couch. No extra guest room. Just one bed, one set of sheets, and a question neither of us voiced. Who sleeps where? That first night, we each took an edge, backs turned. No touching. No talking. Just breathing in the dark, inches apart. By the second night, our legs brushed. By the third, we stopped pulling away. Noah was different when he was around his family. Softer. Less guarded. I watched him play cards with his little sister, hug his aunt after her surgery, laugh at his uncle's terrible jokes. It wasn't just a performance, at least, not for them. And then there was me, pretending to belong in all of it. Pretending his hand around my shoulder was natural. Pretending the way he smiled at me across the bonfire didn't make my heart thump against my ribs. The danger crept in slowly. One evening, we were sitting on the dock, feet dangling in the water. The sun was melting into the lake behind us. Noah said nothing for a long time, just stared straight ahead. Why'd he really not come? I asked, careful. He didn't look at me. Tyler said he couldn't get off work. Is that normal? Lately, yeah. A beat. You ever wonder if maybe he's not trying? That made him glance over. Are you asking as a fake boyfriend or a real one? I didn't answer. He didn't push. Later that night, while everyone else was asleep, I got a message on my phone. Some guy I'd been casually hooking up with back home. Just a selfie and a miss you. I stared at it too long. Deleted it without replying. When I looked up, Noah was standing by the bedroom door, watching me. He didn't say anything. Just walked over, climbed into bed, turned off the light. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was heavy. The next morning, we were late for breakfast. His mom gave us a knowing wink. Looks like you two finally got some alone time. Noah laughed, an actual laugh. His hand slipped into mine under the table. It was instinctive, seamless. Too seamless. Later, as we walked through the trees behind the cabin, I turned to him and asked, What happens when the week ends? He didn't answer at first. Then, we go back to pretending it never happened. I stopped walking. Pretending what never happened? That I played your boyfriend, or that I started to feel like one? He stared at me, lips parting slightly. But no words came. And in that silence, everything shifted. We were supposed to be a performance, but performances don't make your chest tighten when someone else flirts with your co-star. And they sure as hell don't make your skin burn when he whispers your name like a secret. It was the 5th day of the reunion, and everything felt like a stage we couldn't step off. Noah's mom insisted we do couple interviews for a family slideshow, questions about how we met, our first kiss, favorite memories. It was all lighthearted until it wasn't. I think Liam brings out a part of me I didn't know I had, Noah said into the camera, not even looking at me. He challenges me. And he listens. The camcorder blinked red. Recording. I stared at him, unsure whether the heat in my chest was pride or panic. That afternoon, we went with the cousins to the lake. Shirts off, sun high, music loud. The air was thick with heat and beer and barely concealed flirtation. One of Noah's cousins, Eli, tall, tattooed, reckless, started throwing a football with me, asking innocent questions that weren't so innocent. So, you and Noah, open or exclusive? I grinned. Very exclusive. Jealous? Eli smirked. You wouldn't be if he weren't so pretty. Noah stood at the edge of the dock, watching. Still silent. Until he stepped in. Hey Liam, he called, want to help me with the drinks? I followed him without thinking. As soon as we were behind the boathouse, he spun on me. What was that? What? I blinked. We're faking, remember? He stepped closer. Too close. You didn't look like you were faking. I tilted my head. Neither did you. We stared at each other, the silence heavy with something unspoken, something growing faster than either of us could stop. Later that night, the power flickered during a thunderstorm. Candles were lit. Blankets were shared. And suddenly, it wasn't about pretending anymore. We sat on the floor of his childhood bedroom, the storm raging outside. Noah handed me a blanket. Sorry, it's not warm. I wrapped it around my shoulders. You are. He looked away, smirking. But there was a tremble in his jaw. I haven't felt this in a long time, he said. What? This closeness. Not even with Tyler. Not lately. My stomach twisted. You still love him? I think I love who he used to be. Or maybe who I used to be when I was with him. I swallowed hard. Then who are you with me? He looked up slowly, eyes meeting mine. That's the part that scares me. That night we didn't touch. Not physically. But everything inside me had shifted. The wall between acting and feeling was crumbling brick by brick. The next morning, I found him in the kitchen, alone, staring into his coffee like it held all the answers. He looked up. Tyler called last night. I didn't pick up. I didn't ask why. I didn't need to. At brunch, we had to pose for a group photo. Noah wrapped his arm around me, hand on my waist, fingers pressing in just enough to make my breath hitch. His aunt whispered to his mom, "They're actually in love, aren't they?" I caught the words. So did Noah. His hand didn't move. That evening, back on the dock, he kissed me. There was no audience, no performance, just the lake, the sky, the hush of everything except our breath. It started slow, careful, hesitant, but when our mouths met, it deepened like something starved. His hand slid to the back of my neck. I pulled him closer. When we finally broke apart, he didn't step back. I didn't plan this, he said, voice low. No one ever does, I whispered. We walked back to the cabin without speaking. He didn't hold my hand. He didn't need to. That night, we lay in the same bed, shoulder to shoulder, staring at the ceiling. What do we do now? He asked. You tell me. He turned his head, eyes searching mine. I think I cheated on someone I barely recognize anymore. I reached for his hand. And I think I fell for someone I wasn't supposed to touch. He didn't pull away. The next morning, Tyler's name flashed across his phone screen again. He let it ring. I watched him, waiting. He silenced it, set the phone down, and turned to me. "This is a mess," he said. I nodded. "Yeah. But it's our mess now." Noah started drawing again. I found one of his sketches tucked between the pages of a book, lines sharp, shadows soft. It was me. Or some version of me. Leaning against the railing of the dock, half-turned like he'd caught me mid-thought. He never mentioned it. I never asked. But I kept the page, folded neatly, in my bag. That was the first sign. The second came when we stopped pretending altogether. It happened the night after the family bonfire. We were buzzed, wine from his aunt's stash, laughter still clinging to our skin. We slipped away while everyone else played board games and roasted marshmallows. In his room, he stared at me like I was something fragile he wanted to shatter anyway. "I keep telling myself this is fake," he said, voice low. "But nothing about this feels fake anymore." I stepped toward him, slow. "Then stop pretending." His lips crashed into mine before I could finish the sentence. Urgent. Messy. Real. Clothes came off with fumbling hands and unspoken permission. His skin was warm, his breath uneven, and when our bodies finally fit together, it felt like something inevitable, like gravity choosing for us. No cameras. No audience. Just us. And when it was over, he didn't move away. He buried his face into my chest like he was hiding. "I don't know what this makes me," he murmured. I ran my fingers through his hair. Human. But guilt has a way of creeping in, even between tangled sheets. The next morning, Noah was distant. He answered questions with one-word replies, didn't touch me during breakfast, and avoided my eyes when his uncle asked if we were planning to move in together. Later, I caught him sitting alone on the porch, Tyler's contact pulled up on his phone. Thumb hovering. Not dialing. Just stuck. "You're thinking about him," I said behind him. He didn't flinch. "I'm thinking about what I've done." "You cheated," I said plainly. "But not just on him." That made him turn. "What do you mean?" "You cheated on the version of yourself that thought you couldn't feel this way about someone else." His jaw clenched. "I didn't expect you. I didn't expect any of this." "No one expects to fall," I said. "That's why it hurts." That night, we slept apart for the first time since the trip began. He stayed on the couch. I stayed in the bed. The room felt too big, too empty, like the walls knew what we did. In the morning, I woke to raised voices. Tyler had arrived. Unannounced. Uninvited. And early. He stood in the middle of the living room, suitcase still in hand, anger sharp and barely controlled. "Funny. I FaceTime you 3 times last week and get silence. But you've got time for a fake boyfriend." Noah looked like someone had just poured ice water over his spine. "Tyler. Save it." Tyler's gaze shifted to me. "You must be the stand-in." I didn't speak. I didn't have to. The guilt on Noah's face said everything. "You slept with him, didn't you?" Tyler demanded. Silence. Then a whisper. "Yes." It didn't explode. Tyler didn't scream or throw anything. He just deflated. "You could have told me," he said, voice cracked. "We were already falling apart. But this? You let someone else pretend to be what I used to be." Noah didn't defend himself. He just stood there, shoulders curled in, like he was trying to disappear into his own body. Tyler dropped his bag, stepped back, and muttered, "Good luck figuring out who you are without pretending." Then he was gone. After the door slammed, the cabin felt haunted. I found Noah on the dock that night, arms wrapped around his knees, eyes red-rimmed. "I didn't mean for him to find out like that," he said. "Did you mean for any of it?" He shook his head. "I don't even know who I am anymore." I sat beside him. "Then start from here. With me. Or alone. But start real." He turned to me, and for once, his gaze didn't dodge or flicker. "I want it to be real," he said. "Then stop making me feel like a replacement." "You're not." "Prove it." We didn't kiss that night. We didn't touch. But something deeper passed between us. An unspoken agreement that whatever came next, it wouldn't be built on lies. The day after Tyler left, the silence in the cabin felt nuclear, dense, radioactive. No one talked about the shouting. No one mentioned the slammed door or the tear-tracked face Noah wore like a mask. They just adjusted, avoided, and waited for the week to end. Noah didn't speak to me that morning. He sat at the edge of the dock, alone, staring into the lake like it owed him answers. I watched from the porch, trying to summon the courage to go to him, to ask if I was still part of the story, or if I'd become a footnote in his regret. Eventually, I joined him. "You okay?" I asked. His laugh was hollow. "Is that a real question or a polite one? I'm done pretending. Ask me again tomorrow, I might lie. But not today." He didn't smile. "I messed up everything." "Yeah," I said gently. "But sometimes you have to break what isn't working to build something real." I didn't mean to hurt him. "But you did." He nodded slowly, then looked at me. "And I didn't mean to fall for you either." The words hit harder than I expected. "Then why does it feel like you're already pulling away?" I asked, not hiding the edge in my voice. "Because I don't trust myself yet," he said. "Because part of me still feels like I don't deserve this." I exhaled through my nose, trying to steady the burn in my chest. "Noah, I didn't go through all this just to be your guilt trip." His eyes widened slightly. "I'm not your rebound," I continued. "I didn't fake kisses and hold your hand at dinner just to be erased the moment things got complicated." "I know," he said, almost a whisper. "I want real," I said. "But only if you do too." We packed our bags in silence. His family waved us off with hugs and smiles, completely unaware of the emotional wreckage smoldering beneath the surface. Zach texted me, "How'd the act go?" I didn't reply. On the drive back, he reached for my hand on the console. For the first time, I didn't take it. Back in the city, we didn't talk for 3 days. I busied myself. Laundry, editing photos from the trip, ghosting the casual flings I'd once entertained so easily. None of them mattered now. Not after the way Noah had looked at me that night on the dock. But silence has its limits. On the 4th day, he showed up at my door. No warning. No message. Just a knock and a broken man holding a truth he hadn't figured out how to speak yet. I opened the door. He didn't move. "I'm not here to apologize," he said. Bold. I stepped aside. "Then what are you here for?" "To tell you I'm not pretending anymore." He walked inside and stood in the middle of my apartment like he didn't know what to do with his body. I let him take his time. "I called Tyler," he said. "Told him the truth. All of it. Not just what happened at the cabin, but what happened before. The drift. The way I stopped feeling seen." I folded my arms. "How did he take it?" He said I finally sounded honest. "Are you?" "Yes," he said, stepping closer. "Because I realized it wasn't just about you being there when he wasn't. It was about how I started looking for you even when he was." My throat tightened. "I don't know where this goes," he continued. "I don't know how to unlearn everything I've faked. But I know that when I was with you, it was the first time in a long time I felt like I could breathe." I let the silence hang for a moment. Then, "So breathe." He moved forward, tentative, as if afraid I'd vanish. I reached for his hand, the one that had hovered so many times before but never quite landed. This time it did. We didn't label it right away. There were still messy parts. Late-night conversations that tiptoed around insecurity. Lingering guilt. Uncertainty. But we built something, slowly, imperfectly, on top of the truth. No more pretending. One night, lying next to him, I traced the edge of his collarbone and asked, "Do you ever miss him?" He was quiet. "I miss who I thought we were," he said finally. "But I don't miss being invisible." "You're not invisible now." "I know," he whispered. "You see me." Weeks passed. And then one morning, out of nowhere, he turned to me and said, "Do you remember the first night we shared a bed? You didn't even touch me." I smirked. I wanted to. Badly. So why didn't you? I leaned in, brushed his lips with mine. Because I was waiting for it to be real. He smiled against my mouth. It is now,